Ayubowan. Vanakkam. I'm Vioni Dimel. This is Boston Lanka News, bringing you news, views and entertainment from Boston and USA. End discrimination. Make the future generation trilingual and computer literate and uplift the rural Sri Lanka, pledges President Mahinda Rajapaksa in his second term. The Most Reverend Maloclm Ranjith, the only Asian to be elevated to cardinal position by His Holiness the Pope. Bureau of Women and Children in Sri Lanka. Do they really protect women? Sri Lankan filmmaker in Los Angeles. Sri Lanka After the War. There will be no development in the absence of peace, nor peace in the absence of development, said President Mahinda Rajapaksa addressing the nation on November 19th following his inauguration to a second term in office.
දිකරනු මැන හැම හදවත් තුල සතුට පිබිදෙන උදා ඉරක් ඉවර කරනු මැන අපට අහිමි කළ නිදහස් නිවහල් අපේ රටක් නිදහස් නිවහල් අපේ රටක් නිදහස් නිවහල් අපේ රටක්.
In his address, President promised to create a future generation that is trilingual and also technologically literate. The growth in computer literacy should reach 75% within Sri Lanka, he said. The president pledged to uplift the rural Sri Lanka and eliminated the darkness by providing electricity to every corner by 2012. President also promised to entirely eliminate any racial, religious or political discrimination during his second term. Venerable Kurunagoda Piyatissa Mahathero, chief incumbent of New York Buddhist Vihara, spoke to Boston Lanka about the president.
I'd like to wish good health and long life to our Excellency President, because I have seen what he has done so far after his presidency was obtained by him to develop the country and bring the country into prosperity. So therefore, during this whole time whom I spent my lifetime, most of my time I spent actually in foreign countries, not in Sri Lanka. But during that time, whatever he has done, I saw the prosperity and success.
Dr. Palita Kohona, Ambassador and Permanent Representative of the Sri Lanka to the United Nations, shared his views on President's second term.
As His Excellency the President enters his second term in office, he personally and the country have a number of challenges to confront. The President himself enters the second term with the goodwill of a vast number of people in the country. He was re-elected with an unprecedented majority, and the governing party was re-elected by a majority that would have been unthinkable only a few years ago. With that strength behind him, he has now the opportunity and he has the will to take the country forward. First and foremost, his goal, consistent with the Mahinda Chintana, is to propel the country forward economically. Many of the underlying factors are very positive. I believe that the President has now the opportunity to deliver on his promise that he will make Sri Lanka a second Singapore, maybe even overtake Singapore within a very short period.
Boston Lanka extends its good wishes to President Rajapaksa as he begins his second term. There will be a special Boston Lanka program on President Rajapaksa next week. The Most Reverend Dr. Maloclm Ranjith, Sri Lankan Roman Catholic Archbishop, was elevated to the position of Cardinal by His Holiness Pope Benedict XVI at the Vatican's St. Peter's Basilica on November 20th. Cardinal Maloclm Ranjith was born in Polgahawila, studied at the De La Salle College in Mutwal before entering to St. Aloysius Seminary in Boralla in 1965. He then pursued studies in theology and philosophy at the National Seminary in Kandy before went to Rome to further his priestly studies. He graduated from the Pontifical Urbanian University with a bachelor's degree in theology. On June 29, 1975, Maloclm Ranjith was ordained to the priesthood by Pope Paul VI in St. Peter's Basilica. After his ordination, he has done postgraduate studies at the Pontifical Biblical Institute in Rome and also attended the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, where he undertook scriptural research as a postgraduate scholar. The Most Reverend Ranjith was the only Asian among the 24 bishops all over the world who were drawn into the much prestigious Sacred College of Cardinals, the highest ecclesiastical body of the Roman Catholic Church. Boston Lanka joins with the people of Sri Lanka and all the Christians around the world in sharing the good wishes for Cardinal Maloclm Ranjith and for the Sri Lankan Roman Catholic Church. With the publication of photos of 83 local actors, mostly women, who according to the police had acted in locally produced pornographic films, there were many ripple effects in Sri Lanka. These photos have given fresh ammunition to sexual predators to target women victims, while privacy rights advocates have warned about penalizing victims. We join with Boston Lanka special correspondent Udara Disoisa from Sri Lanka to find out more. Udara, could you give us an update now that these photos have been out in the public domain?
When Boston Lanka spoke with several people, especially the civil society members, they were quite against this activity of the police. For example, when the Boston Lanka News spoke with Jehan Pereira of National Peace Council, he said the porn actresses themselves are victims. In his statement, he said that even if these people have done this on commercial basis, still it is wrong for the police to put their photos on newspapers as they have done so. When Boston Lanka spoke with several people who were quite addicted to porn, their basic point was that they got addicted to porn based on the sexual repression that exists here in Sri Lanka. Boston Lanka News also tried to contact several people whose photos have been published on the newspapers. However, our action did not reap any fruits.
Udara, now we know that this was done as a result of a magistrate's order, right? Now, what is the government's official position on this?
Yes, Vernie, it's very important to note that none of the government ministers, so none of the government members have actively come out of a huge support for this project to apprehend porn actresses or porn production. Most of these efforts had been taken by the police, and especially for this special police unit that is established to protect women and children. The irony of the issue here is that although Police Women Bureau tries to protect the victims of these events, currently many victims themselves have been further victimized by these exposures. Some girls have been forced to leave their houses because many are now hounding them. There were reports that many sexual predators are calling these girls based on the information that they have received from newspapers and making the lives a big problem for these victims themselves.
Sounds like, Udara, the Bureau of Women and Children have to reevaluate their strategy on how to prevent women and children of becoming victims of the local pornographic industry, isn't it? Thank you, Udara. That's our special correspondent from Sri Lanka. Young Sri Lankan filmmaker living in Los Angeles, California, who made it his mission to find out on his own the ground situation in Sri Lanka after the war, decided to visit Sri Lanka and to document on his own. His name is Buddhika Ekanayaka. Now, Buddhika joins from Los Angeles. Buddhika, could you tell us what made you decide to make this film?
As a Sri Lankan born and living in a different country, we all passionate about our country, and we always pursue our dreams, but we won't forget our country, what our backgrounds are and where we are coming from. So in year 2009, after defeating Tamil terrorist group LTTE, we all celebrated the victory, and we thought all our problems going to be over. Now Sri Lanka will prosper. So right after that, international media, international community, bringing all these accusations and all the issues to the newsroom. And as a Sri Lankan, I was wondering what is actually happening in Sri Lanka. I was hurt sometimes. I was wondering what is happening in Sri Lanka. So I wanted to know. I didn't want to believe what they are saying in media. I didn't want to take as it is. And also, not only the international media, the government media, Sri Lankan government media or independent media in Sri Lanka were saying a different story other than what they are saying in the international media. So I was in a conflict what to believe. So I wanted to go there and see it for myself and talk to people and share that actual situation with the world. So that's what made me go out there and do the documentary.
Now, any of your perceptions about the war or what led to the war changed as a result of doing this film, Buddhika?
I wanted to mention one particular thing. I had an interview with the former Member of Parliament, Mr. Ananda Sangari in Colombo. I wanted to share this with fellow Sri Lankans. What he said at the interview, Buddhika, if you are a patriotic Sri Lankan, love your country and its people, not love your country and your people. I wanted to share that with all the Sri Lankans. We like to consider us as a patriotic Sri Lankans. So if you are a patriotic Sri Lankan, not love your country and your people, love your country and its people.
Thank you, Buddhika. That was Buddhika Ekanayaka, the director of Sri Lanka After the War documentary film. That concludes our news edition. We meet again with another news edition of News, Views and Entertainment from Boston and USA. Till then, goodbye.